Good evening, Purple family. Welcome to another episode of Shades of Purple, a Prince podcast. On tonight's episode, I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be talking about an incident that occurred in the Prince camp back in 2020, around the time of the 4th anniversary of Prince's death. So how this came about was actually a Purple sister named Desi Walter. Shout out to Desi. We started talking. She sent me a link that Funktopia did about this in Facebook chat. And then me and her just got to, going back and forth about it. And it got me to thinking, I need to probably do an episode on this, even though it's almost 4 years old, but it's something that occurred kind of out of the blue in the Prince camp. Because back in 2020, Prince, had been gone for about 4 years. And there was not a lot of commotion going on with people that knew him. So when Apollonia put out this scathing Facebook post about Shelia E., it was kind of shocking. And the reason why she did this was because Shelia E. put out a music video called Lemoncakegate. And in this song, she making, of course, sexual innuendo about, Prince or he. She never uses Prince's name, of course. But she says, he loved my lemon cake. And in her book, though, that came out before Prince died back in 2014, she also talked about how she would bake cakes and cookies and things like this for Prince while he was recording because, he had a really bad sweet tooth. And so that's really the only thing that he would eat while he was recording. And so I guess she, took this idea and she, made this song called Lemon Cake, and she claimed that, she would make lemon cake for him. And so I don't know what I do know what made Apollonia come out of her like this. I'm going to read her post verbatim. And as it was posted, because Funktopia at the time, he had a whole story about it. So I'm basically going to read the article that he did about it when it happened. And we're just going to talk about it. And I'm going to kind of give my opinion on some of the things that I feel like is going on behind the scenes between the two of them. I think, in a way, I think they both are kind of jealous of one another. But I think it's more one-sided. And you'll see what I'm talking about. But so anyway, I'm going to just read verbatim this article that Desi sent me. And it's from Funktopia. So it starts off, Lemon Cake, Apollonia versus Shelia E. So what seemed to be a relatively quiet day snuggled in between the 4-year anniversary of Prince's death, the claws came flailing Freddy Krueger style towards Shelia Escovedo, aka Shelia E., via the hands of Apollonia Caterio, aka Apollonia, Prince's Purple Rain love interest that failed to purify herself in Lake Minnetonka. The vitriol came via a Facebook post on Apollonia's Facebook page that was the verbal equivalent of a soda can that has been shaken for decades and finally opened. So basically he's saying, this has been boiling, and it just kind of boiled over. The vicious diatribe was apparently sparked by the release of Shelia E's new track called Lemon Cake that she released as a homage to Prince on April 17th. The song is about how he loved her lemon cake, which is obviously, like I said, a sexual innuendo as far as the song is concerned. But then fireworks started when she was quoted in Billboard. She quoted this. So this is what Shelia E. told Billboard. One day, I mentioned to him that I make a good chocolate and lemon cake, recalls Shelia E. His response, talking about Prince, was, "Oh, I didn't know you cooked." I said, "Of course I do. My mom being Creole and my dad Mexican, I know how to cook." The next day, I baked a lemon cake. It was love at first sight and one of his favorite things that we would share in the studio. And then, top it off, she also talked about it on an ABC News appearance, showing the staff how to make the beloved lemon cake. The result was this post by Apollonia on her Facebook page. And so this is what she said, Apollonia said, "You are so desperate to be relevant. As the brilliant Linda Perry said, Prince refused to acknowledge you for 5 years before his death because of your lies. Your charity funds went where? Where are the music school's money? I was there helping you raise funds. I had your best interests at heart, but later found out the money went into your dirty pockets. I was crestfallen. Prince scolded me. He knew better. You can't continue to fool our Prince fans any longer because I am here to tell you it's over. Time for the truth. My memoirs, which she still hasn't put out, by the way, will reveal all that Prince revealed to me. Painful for me because I was your friend. I helped you raise money. My wealthy friends asked me, where are the music school's money? None exists. F&K, which I think she's trying to say fucking tragic, because I believed you. Prince was so angry because of all of your continuous lies, your bio filled with lies. He sent you legal letters as you were slandering him. I have copies and will include them in my memoirs. Okay, Apollonia, where are your memoirs at, boo? You need to stop using Prince in death. You need to stop using Purple Rain as a vehicle. You are not on our cast list. Prince outed you. Prince called you he, she. At first, I thought this was not nice, but I listened to him. I listened to all of his complaints, and even then, I did not want to be in between you both. It was painful for me because I loved you both. But once he was killed, you exposed your true self. It broke my heart. He was right all along. Why would you do a Purple Rain boat cruise tour in 2016? Why would you sell Prince logo t-shirts? Why did you tell the Revolution in April 2016 that you knew how Prince died, but you could not tell them? Please get over yourself. You are not Prince. You will never be. You can copy his attire, try your best, but you will never be Prince. And that I do agree with. So get over yourself. Sad over your sad self and face the truth. He did not want anything to do with you for 5 years. You erased all that history by being your desperate, egotistical self. Egotistical, empty, sad, desperate for money. Money will not get you to heaven. Time to come out and tell the truth. God forgives. Woo! So Apollonia had a lot to say in this particular post. So she just like, where are the receipts, Shelia E? Where is this money that I helped you raise for these music schools? And I will say this. There are some things that she said in the post that I do agree with. For one, of course, there will never be another Prince, bottom line. And I did notice sometimes that Shelia, especially in her concerts after his death, how she would try to emulate him. But to be honest, she kind of did a little bit of that before he died. Like, if y'all can remember the movie Crush Groove, and there was a scene when she was on the couch with her and what is his name, the actor, Blair Underwood, when she was talking to him, and they were like, I don't know, I think they were in his apartment, I think. And anyway, she was, doing, she was actually emulating Jamie Starr in that scene. And so she was kind of already imitating him a little bit, but I think she kind of upped the ante after he died. She would do she would do that in her concerts, and, she would play nothing but Prince songs from what I heard. And I'm just like, oh, okay, Shelia, we get it. But you can never be Prince. You are not the female Prince. Yes, don't get me wrong. She's very talented. She's an awesome drummer and percussionist. But no, there's only one Prince, and he's gone. So I do agree with her on that. Now, as far as the money for this fundraiser and this cruise, like, I didn't even know about the cruise. I would have loved to have went on that, honestly. But to find out that, it didn't go anywhere but to her pockets, that would have been devastating to me as well. Like, Shelia, if this is really true, the allegations that Apollonia is saying about her, that's just awful, and I don't want to believe them, but I don't know. I mean, she, has firsthand accounts of her trying to help, with these so-called, fundraisers. And I don't know what story Shelia E. told Apollonia about these so-called fundraisers. And, she said that it was supposed to go to a school, but I'm assuming that Apollonia just to say, oh, here, okay, well, let me find my rich friends and, say no more. Like, maybe that's what she did. And if she did, then, okay, that was naive on your part, because I would have, if I was Apollonia, I would have wanted more detail about this music school. Where is it going to be at? And maybe she did give her all this detail. I don't know, but I would have wanted some receipts ahead of time before I tried to bring in investors and, rich friends and whatnot. But, like I said, it's easy for me to say. I mean, I wasn't there. But, and she just went on. I mean, she was upset. And I think at this time, Prince had only been gone 4 years at this time. And I think everybody was still, deep in their grief. And I kind of see this as Apollonia kind of lashing out at Shelia E., both because she was in grief and because she felt like, the things that Shelia E. was doing was wrong. And in a way, I can see, Shelia does seem to have a tendency to exaggerate some things, because I did read her book, her bio that Apollonia is talking about, The Beat of My Own Drum. And she made mention of the fact, I think she did tell this lemon cake story in that book as well. And she said that, Prince supposedly proposed to her during a performance of Purple Rain. And I'm just like, okay, that's just a little too perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like, that really just sounded like a made up story. And I said this in another episode, and I really felt like it was a made up story because for the simple fact that she did not get a ring from him. And to me, that was a complete red flag, because we know how much Prince loves jewelry. I mean, he was always decked out in expensive watches and bracelets and necklaces, and especially rings. The man loved his rings. And then he has a history of proposing to women with rings, because he proposed, when he first proposed to Susanna back in the 80s, around the time of Under the Cherry Moon, he gave her a ring. And then he also gave Maite a ring, and Manuela, his 2 wives. So he has a history of giving women that he's serious about rings. And so that whole story rang to me very hollow when she said that, she didn't get a ring from him, but she didn't really question it. I'm just like, but why would you not question that? So it was just, I don't know. It just didn't really make any sense to me. But at the same time, I really do feel like that even though, Apollonia has her receipts, I feel like Apollonia is also a little jealous. I mean, let's be honest, because Shelia E., don't get it twisted, okay? Shelia E. was relevant before she even met or got with Prince, okay? Because she was doing music and playing for people like George Duke and Diana Ross and Marvin Gaye and even Santana, who she also had an affair and relationship with. So she was playing for people, and she was in music, from the start, from her whole life, damn near, because her father had his own band and was also playing with Santana as well. So, so she grew up in the Bay Area, that whole music scene there. And so she already had a career. Matter of fact, when the night that she met Prince had already knew who Shelia E. was. And he even inquired, according to her, how much, I think at the time she was playing with George Duke. And supposedly Prince asked her, like, well, how much is he paying you? And then Shelia said she told him. And then supposedly Prince said, well, I could never afford that, not right now. Because this was back in 78, 79, when, he was just getting started with his career. And so Shelia made it seem like Prince couldn't afford her, at that time. And so, fast forward a couple of years, around the Purple Rain era, he, was finally able to afford her, assumably. And then that's also when they started a romantic relationship. And I think with Prince being, this, like I said, this book came out in 2014, so 2 years before his death. And when he found out about it, I'm pretty sure that he was upset. And the whole legal documents thing that Apollonia is claiming, I can see him doing that, because Prince was such a very private person when it came to his personal life. And there was a lot of things that he didn't want out there. Prince was one of those people, he'll tell you what he wants you to know, especially when it came to his personal life. So I think that Prince did a lot of things behind the scenes. Like I think, for example, when Maite was on that reality TV show, Hollywood Ex-Wives, or whatever it was called, I think the reason why it didn't finish the third season was because Prince probably called some TV executives and was like, because they did, Maite, a lot of people say that she was disrespectful toward Prince, and in a way, I think she kind of was. I mean, she had Eddie Murphy's ex-wife trying on his clothes, and they just giggling, having a good time, and then Will Smith's ex-wife made a comment that even though she said she had never met Prince, she claimed that she knew people that did know him, and how he just kind of dismissed Maite and didn't, never really acknowledge properly their son's death. So they kind of touched on some subjects in that reality TV show that I'm pretty sure Prince probably watched himself, because Prince was a TV watcher and a movie watcher. He liked to watch TV and he liked to watch movies. So I have no doubt that Prince probably sat down and watched every single episode of Hollywood Ex-Wives or whatever it was called. And when it got to that point, he was like, pull the plug. So, but for those that know, But anyway, going back to Apollonia and Shelia E. So I can understand, how Apollonia felt. But if we're going to be real, y'all, now she's talking about you will do anything to stay relevant. Apollonia, that's like calling the kettle black, boo, because you will do anything to stay relevant, because you haven't been relevant since Purple Rain. Come on, y'all. Let's be honest. Now, she may have did some things here and there, that nobody really knew about. Like, for instance, I know that she was supposedly signed, just like Vanity was, to Motown Records for a little while in the, I think, mid to late 80s or something like that. But I think she asked to get pulled out of her contract. And I remember her talking about that in her Vlad interview. So, I mean, and I think she might have did like some little, B-rated TV movies or something like that. But, I mean, outside of that, Apollonia will always be known as Apollonia from Purple Rain. Okay? And that's it. Shelia E, on the other hand, has had a legit career. Even, since Prince has died, and, even when she stopped, because she went back and got with Prince in the early 2000s when he was doing musicology, and a little bit when he was doing Lotus Flower. And also, what was it, between musicology and Lotus Flower, not 3121, but the One Night Alone and Rainbow Children, that era. She was also playing with him a little bit here and there. So, and she was also doing her own thing as well. She was on, y'all remember when Magic Johnson had his own late night TV show? She was his musical director for that show. So, she was doing her thing on there. So she still had, a career, whereas Apollonia, she just kind of, faded into the background. So I kind of always thought, and like I said, this is just my personal opinion, that Apollonia has always been a little jealous, because let's face it, Apollonia she can't sing, she can't dance, she can act a little bit. I mean, she's really only a pretty face to me. I'm sorry. And that's the reason why I think her and Prince, maybe they stayed friends or whatever, but I didn't think that their relationship was as deep as his relationship with Shelia, because they could get together on a music level, and they did. I mean, out of all his proteges, Shelia was the only one that got 3 albums out of him. So that says a lot to me, that they really did have a connection at one point. And maybe Prince did feel betrayed by some of the things that Shelia E said. And I don't doubt that they fell out and that they may have even stopped talking in the years leading up to his death. I don't doubt that. So there's a lot of things that Apollonia said that I believe are true. But there are some things that I'm just like, okay, you might be exaggerating, because she even said numerous times after Prince's death, Apollonia did, that she felt like she was Prince's widow. What? How were you his widow? Okay, first of all, he wasn't married when he died. And she would say things like that. You would think that maybe Maite or Manuela might, feel some type of way about. You were not his woman. You were never his, you claim to never have dated him. Okay, but now all of a sudden you his widow. That whole thing was just weird to me. And that's what made me think that maybe they did at least mess around back in the day, because for her to want to almost claim ownership of him like that made me think that he must have hit it. Like, it's something, I mean, it just didn't add up, and I still kind of think that maybe he did hit it and she just doesn't want to reveal that because she doesn't want to be clumped in with all of his other, women that he, did stuff with and like collaborated with, was in movies with, or, and, he slept with them and, had like a little mini relationship and then moved on. She didn't want to be clumped in with other women like that. And so I think that's why she, is still trying to say that they were friends. Or maybe they just were, maybe I'm overthinking it, but I don't know. I don't buy it. But anyway, so going back to the post. So after Apollonia put up this post, there were some other people in the Prince camp that kind of confirmed that they were kind of on Apollonia's side. So going back to the article that Funktopia did. So the rage in this post seemed like a barrage of unfounded accusations, but was soon supported by other Prince proteges. Brenda Bennett from Vanity 6, Kat Glover, and Susanna Melvoin, the family and Prince's past love interest. It caused an uproar because Leroy Bennett was actually the creator of the lemon cake that Prince loved so dearly, and it was not made by Shelia E. And this is according to Leroy himself, and at all. And he claims that the story is fabricated. Could there have been 2 lemon cakes that he loved? There were plenty of Facebook comments validating that he definitely was the lemon cake creator that was supported by first-hand stories. Okay, so this is what Brenda Bennett, which is Leroy Bennett's ex-wife, and she was, of course, the white lady that was in Vanity 6. She said, "What? Lemon cake? Leroy Bennett is the one who used to make him the lemon cakes all the time. This song is such a copy of Prince. She doesn't even own her own identity." And so Susan Melvoin said, "Brenda Bennett, yep." And then she went back because she didn't want to make it seem like she was agreeing to everything that Brenda had just said. Susanna Melvoin said, "Brenda Bennett, just to clarify my post, I agree with Brenda that Roy Bennett baked many, many lemon cakes. I did not say Shelia had no identity, to be clear." And then so Leroy Bennett, who is the owner of 7 Design Works in Santa Monica, California, which does a lot of touring managing, and according to Bennett, the song was a direct swipe at him because he was responsible for pushing the Revolution to perform at Let's Go Crazy, a Grammy salute to Prince in Los Angeles, instead of Shelia E. So Leroy Bennett is claiming that this was Shelia E's way of getting back at him because she wasn't asked to perform on the Grammy salute to Prince, which aired on April 21st of 2020. And so Leroy Bennett in his post said, "Thank you so much for putting this out there. It's so important. What is happening in the universe right now is a major thing. It'll bring the end of all the negative and bad energy, bad people and bad corporations. Shelia fits right in with all of that. She's been a user of everyone around her. We've all been used by her at one point or another. Her lemon cake stunt is a direct hit at me because I pushed to get the Revolution on the Grammy tribute, and that plays this weekend. She refused to let them be a part of it prior. It was a fight, but she had to give in thanks to Jimmy and Terry. This is the end of her shitty, pathetic ring." Damn, dog. Whew. But the lemon cake fiasco is only the tip of the iceberg. If we're to believe Apollonia's wild swinging post, which makes multiple accusations, and then Funktopia goes through all of the accusations saying they're unconfirmed, like the fact that Apollonia helped raise money for this supposed music school and that Shelia E pocketed the money. They said that was unconfirmed. The fact that Shelia E was selling merchandise with Prince's logo at her shows, and they said that that was confirmed because they have one. It features Prince's logo and a butterfly on top. So they said that it was true that Shelia E was in fact selling Prince's logo at her shows. And the third accusation, Prince blocked Shelia E out of his life after the entire last 5 years of his life due to her constant lies. That's unconfirmed. But I kind of believe that might be true. Accusation, Shelia E's bio, The Beat of My Own Drum, is full of falsehoods and lies. And Prince served her with legal papers for slander, status unconfirmed, but Apollonia claims to have the documents in her possession that she'll reveal in her memoir. And like I said when I was reading this, okay, Apollonia, where's your memoir? Because this happened almost 4 years ago. And we still wait on that memoir, boo. Where is it? Where you claim that you got this paperwork. And why would you have the paperwork of that seemed like that would be a public, like anybody could find that. If it was something that was filed, in a public court or whatever, seemed that you could find that. So I don't think any legal papers that I know of has ever come out showing that Prince tried to sue Shelia or whatever. I like I said, it's possible, but I just don't see why Apollonia would have that paperwork. Status unconfirmed, but okay, yeah, I just read that. Accusation: Shelia E. told some members of the revolution that she knew how Prince died, but refused to tell them. So this is what makes me think that she's just lying her ass off, because how are you telling members of the revolution, and anyone for that matter, that you know how Prince died? Because for one, your ass wasn't there, and for two, who told you? The only person I feel that might absolutely know how Prince died is Kirk Johnson. But outside of him, unless she talked to Kirk and Kirk told her some stuff, how are you saying that you know how he died but can't tell anybody? Why wouldn't you want at least the police to know? Because now y'all remember they had an investigation into Prince's death for about a year, up until they said that they couldn't locate the person or persons that switched out his medication or laced those pills, I should say, because I think that Prince thought he was taking Percocet. And the Percocet was laced with the fentanyl that killed him. So you're saying that you know who did this, but you have to keep it a secret? Why would you tell them that? First, that would just infuriate me if that is true. Even as a fan, why would you, if you know what killed our Prince, why would you keep that to yourself? So I really hope that's not true. But if it is, that's really fucked up. I'm not even gonna lie. That's crazy. So another accusation: Prince scolded Apollonia for getting involved with Shelia E. because he knew that she was not legitimately raising money for a charity like she was. That's unconfirmed. Prince did not propose to Shelia on stage during a Love Sexy concert, and that story was made up by Shelia. Status unknown, but Cat Glover, who was a part of that tour, she seems to be siding with Apollonia on everything. So Cat Glover, who was, Prince's primary dancer during the Sign of the Times Love Sexy era, is kind of confirming a lot of the things that Apollonia is saying. And, Shelia and Cat had a lot of beef, because during this Sign of the Times and Love Sexy tour, that was when Shelia E. was Prince's primary drummer and Cat was his primary dancer. And they clashed a couple of times. And Cat even talked about it on Michael Dean's podcast, on the podcast on Prince, where she did her 3-hour interview with him. And she said this story one time when they were on stage. And I think it was during, I can't remember if it was Love Sexy or Sign of the Times. But they were on stage, and she said that Shelia passed her when they were, on stage performing, and said, "Back up off my man." And so, as Kat tells it, after the performance or whatever, she went to her dressing room and just tore it up because she was that pissed off. And she ended up Prince told her to come. I guess, I don't know if Shelia went back and said something to Prince about, Kat tearing up the dressing room or whatnot. So anyway, he calls Kat up to his dressing room and was like, "Hey, what's going on?" And so Kat, just casually tells Prince, "Well, your girl, Sheila's told me to back up off of you." And so Prince looks at Shelia, was like, "Well, did you say that?" And Sheila tried to play it off, be like, no, I didn't say that. I don't know what she's talking about. And then, according to Kat, Prince looks at Sheila and says, I don't know why you said that, but I am not your man, and I will never be your man. I said, oh, wait. So I don't know if Kat, I don't know. I kind of feel like Kat was maybe digging, because I don't think her and Sheila ever really got along. And I don't know how accurate that story is. And even if Prince did say that in front of Kat, I think he just said that in front of Kat because, mind you, we all know how much of a player Prince is. So I have no doubt that he may have said that to Kat because he may have wanted to get with Kat. Now, if Kat is another one like Apollonia who claims they were never, never together. And, I'm trying to believe that. I really am. But there's a lot of things that this was the one story that kind of gave me kind of a red flag, because why are you so upset that she said that? Like, if you had no interest in Prince whatsoever, I'm like, back up off my man. Okay, bitch, whatever. Like, I don't even want him. We just, professional friends, so you claim. So what's the problem? Like, what's the problem? Why are you so upset? But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, so going back to this, though. So Kat is basically backing up Apollonia, saying that's not, I don't know if she is backing her up as far as like saying that's not true. But, she was there. She was on the Love Sexy tour. So it seemed like, she would have remembered that or seen that if that was the case. But she may have not been privy to it. I don't know. But I do know that Kat and Sheila are not friends, and they have never, never been buddy-buddy. Okay, so getting back to the article. So Funktopia said, but let's take a moment. All of this being said, Sheila E. is a true part of the Prince legacy, without a doubt. And I agree with that. Despite all the claims of people saying that she is cashing in on his legacy, there is not one band or performer that came out of Prince's shadows that is not doing the exact same thing. True. As long as the ticket holders demand to hear the remnants of his legacy through the musicians that shared the stage with him, this will always be a factor. And let's be honest, right after Prince died, how many books popped up? Morris Day had a book. Brown Mark had a book. Let's keep it 100. There was a lot of people in his camp that came out and, were doing interviews and had books and, so let's just not make it seem like it's just Sheila E. that's so-called cashing in on Prince, because there was a lot of people that were doing that were in his rim of influence. So, but going back, okay, so, and isn't Apollonia trying to sell a memoir? Exactly. Whose very foundation is what? Prince. So while you are accusing Sheila of trying to cash in on Prince, that's exactly what you're doing, Apollonia. Because, and then on top of, then where is your memoir? Where's your memoir? I'm still saying that. So you can't accuse Sheila of doing something that you're doing. And lest we forget, the Revolution announced a tour within a week of his passing. And they're only performing Prince's songs. They're not, because they didn't have any original songs that weren't related to Prince. Sheila E. has a good selection of his songs because that's what the audience wants. But she also performs a huge selection of her own material. Whatever the truth may be, Sheila Escovedo is a successful artist who has a solid career before Prince, and her family is legendary. She had already been playing with Lionel Richie. Yeah, I forgot about him. George Duke, Marvin Gaye, Herbie Hancock, Diana Ross, and tons more. Prince followed her career and came and got her, not the other way around. Additionally, Apollonia is about to release her memoirs of her time with Prince, which was very short. Sheila E. played with Prince for over 30 years. This type of drama sells books. Can anyone truly tell us where Apollonia has been the past 30 years without researching it? All of that being said, so we can obviously tell what side the Funktopia is on, right? All of that being said, let's be really careful about this dirty, foul path we seem to be sprinting down here. Apollonia's mean-spirited Facebook post has got a lot of people fired up, but there are two sides to every story, and no one reading this knows all of the answers or the complete truth. We're not taking sides. Y'all are. Y'all are obviously taking Sheila's side. But it's difficult for any of these current players to claim that others are cashing in on Prince's legacy without having to first step in front of the mirror, since they have not been successful outside of that history. Sorry, that's kind of the reality here. And then that's the end of it. He talks about, where do you stand? And I wanted to kind of look at some of the original comments and just see what people had to say. So this guy named Big Noise says, grown-ass people, none of who have not been anything without Prince except Shelia. What difference does it make in the end? Believe this man gave people careers and added longevity to others. Indeed, he is better off than the fools he left down here. Dubs are crying. And so then another person said, Prince was an incredible musician, performer, and artist, but Prince was no saint. And that's true. And neither were any of this whole group. None were saints, all capable of exaggeration, manipulation, and exaggeration. She said it twice. Every single person makes money off of Prince's legacy, but that doesn't mean they feel about him the way they claim to. Most of all, they've earned the right to make their money. Just as he made money by finding them to enhance his performances on stage, he used them all and then paid them because he knew he would look great on stage with a lot of performers, and in return, they got to eternally use them as a resume-related artist. So in all fairness, let them be, because there'll always be private things that happen amongst people in the band community that will put them against each other and will be lies and will be lies. Some will be truth and some will be exaggerations, because everyone does it at one point or another. So, I mean, yeah, that's fair. But let's be real. The only reason why Prince even had a band to begin with is because, I mean, he only has two hands. He can't play all the instruments at the same time. But he can't play two at once, because, we've seen him hop on a guitar and then get on the piano. But he's only one man. He was a one-man band in the studio, but he couldn't do that, out, he couldn't tour like that. So that's why he needed a band, because, especially his first 5 albums, he did everything in the studio by himself. So let's be clear. He needed a band because he needed, other people to play his music that he created. Okay. So that's the only reason why he needed them. And was he a user? A lot of people say to a certain extent that he was, but it's not like, it was a two-way relationship. Prince was getting what he needed, getting his music out there. And then they were also having the clout of saying they worked with Prince, so it was a two-way relationship. And then the next person, Renee, says, Team Shelia all the way. And then another person says, funny how all these Prince women, especially since they claim to be the originals, his harem, they all want Prince cred. But when he was alive, he wanted nothing intimate to do with them, including Apollonia, who sadly seems to be playing the Purple Rain widow. Shelia playing the band widow. I mean, they both read Apple's eulogy farewell letter she posted after he passed. Oh, so that's when she said she was his widow. Having concocted this fantasy affair that transpired in memory. Everybody knows Prince never looked back and didn't like older women. Which, true. He wasn't a fan of women his age or older. So he definitely, had a flair and a taste for younger women. So that's why I don't think that, when he got back with Shelia in the early 2000s and they were doing music together for Rainbow Children era and One Night Alone, and then later on Musicology and the Lotus Flower era, I really feel like they were definitely not messing around. I think Prince, he may have did a little flirting with her to try to get her to work, to work back with him again. But I don't see them, having a intimate relationship at that time. But, you never know. Prince, said what he said and did what he did in private, and we'll never really know. Then somebody else said, Dieter, I think that's how you say this person's name. I'm Team Shelia. First foremost, because she didn't write this nasty ass spitball. Her godfather was Tito Puente, which I'm probably saying that wrong. I've heard of him. I think he recently passed away. Her dad played in Santana. Her career speaks for itself. By age 20, she was playing in George Duke's band and played with Lionel Richie, Marvin Gaye, Herbie Hancock, Diana Ross. She played with Beyonce and Ringo Starr. She wasn't just a tool of Prince. She's smart, talented, and beautiful. And most of all, she didn't write that nasty ass post. So a lot of people were on Shelia E's side with this. And to me, I think they were both wrong, to be honest. But like I said, I really feel like Apollonia, she felt, she said what she said. She felt how she felt. But I don't really think that Facebook was the forum for that. Because, she put all that vitriol out there. And then she just kind of put her jealousy, I think, on display, unfortunately. Like, I don't think that, that post was the flex that she thought it was, if that makes sense. Because she really just let it be known, like, I can't stand you, and I think you're a liar, da-da-da. And maybe all that, like I said, maybe all that did happen with the whole, charity thing. And like I said, and Shelia E did that, that's really fucked up of her. But I'm still thinking that there's still exaggeration on both sides. Shelia E may have exaggerated the whole lemon cake story, but I feel like Apollonia exaggerated the whole, I got the receipts, I got the legal papers. How's that possible? And you see, we're in 2023, almost 2024, and there is no Apollonia memoir. Now, she has a podcast that she does on YouTube now, and I don't, watch it, so I don't know, maybe she brought this up in one of her episodes. So if y'all keep up with that, please let me know in the comments on Spotify or on the Facebook page when I post this episode. Hey, yes, she did mention this again. Because I just might be out of the loop on that. Because I'll be honest, I'm not really a big Apollonia fan in general. I would definitely say that I'm more Team Shelia. I'm not Team Shelia, though, when it comes to her lies, though. I can't get with that. But other than that, I always thought that Shelia E was, very, very talented. And I think, that's, like I said, once again, that's where her and Prince connected. And that's something that, Sheila's relationship with Prince was very different from the relationship that he had with Apollonia, because him and Apollonia didn't have like a musical synergy in the same way that he had with Shelia E. And, because like I said, she couldn't dance, she couldn't sing. She claimed that, she helped write The Glamorous Life and Manic Monday with him. But I think that is a complete lie, because I think, especially for Glamorous Life, I think that he had already written that even before he met Apollonia, before he even knew who Apollonia was, because he was writing a lot of those songs for was supposed to be the second Vanity 6 album. So I just think those are just complete lies. And I think a lot of the things that Apollonia is saying, like, she would have never said if Prince was alive. Like, we would probably never even hear about her at all unless Prince brought her up. if he was still around to say anything about her. So I just think that, people like her have just gotten bold since Prince's death. And the same thing can be said about other people, in his camp that have kind of, like Maite, for example. But I'm not going to get into her because I'm getting ready to end this episode. But I think a lot of the things that Maite has done, she definitely would not do if Prince was still here. I probably need to do an episode just on her. Because I'm not feeling this so-called movie that she got coming out. Because, first of all, who gonna play Prince? Second of all, why? It's just so many. Like, I'm just not feeling it, y'all. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I'm not feeling it. But like I said, that's a whole nother episode. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and end the episode, y'all. Up next on the podcast, I still got. I'm gonna be talking about the only Christmas song that Prince ever recorded, Another Lonely Christmas. That'll be the next episode. And then if I have one more episode coming out, it'll probably be my personal favorite episodes that I did in the year 2020, this year 2023, my favorite podcast episodes. So stay tuned for that. I think those will probably be the last 2 episodes of the year, but we'll see how it goes. So thank you guys, as always, for continuing to support me and listening to my podcast. I got some big things coming, hopefully in 2024. So love you guys. Peace and be wild, and may you live to see the dawn. Bye.